Okay, Dart, you're all
Today's
set to
not my
start the
day.
meeting. Whenever
Yeah,
you're ready.
hold on 1 second. Let me pull up my minutes. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, we've been having
Sort of-
major. I have been having major computer problems, like with my home computer. We've had like internet connection issues, so
Okay,
just take your time.
I'm up and running. Okay, I'd like to call the February 3rd, 2021 Conservation Advisory Council to order. Could we please do the roll?
Laura, do you have it? I don't have it in front of me.
I have it. Ashok Rama Subramanian.
Yes, present.
Miss Chelsea Ratner.
Here.
Kathy Adams.
Here.
Chairman Schreier.
Here.
And Ellen Daviero emailed me that she couldn't attend. And right now we only have 5 CAC members. So I have a couple applications, but that's all we have right now.
Okay, but we have a
For the
quorum.
record, myself and Clark Henry are both here.
Yeah, okay, great. So let's take a look at the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes for January 6th?
Are we
If we
talking
haven't had a
about the-
chance to, I personally haven't had a chance to look at the minutes, so if we haven't, we can postpone it to the next meeting,
So
if that would be
I
preferable.
don't know how we feel about this. We have 4 of our 5 members, but we're supposed to have 9. And with 4 people, that's not actually a quorum.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I don't know.
Laura, you're
We
the.
can just delay them. You want to just delay them?
Yeah, we better.
Yes, I would like to.
Yeah. We can't do any official business then,
That's what I mean. That's what I
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? The nomination is not
Official.
like a technical thing. So you could definitely do the youth initiative nomination. And then if there's any more conditions or thoughts that you had about the subdivision, we can just pass them on as a non-action item. And then we can just do our reports.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Okay.
All right.
So why don't we move? We don't have any privilege of the floor, do we at all?
I didn't get any comments.
Okay. Why don't we spend a little time talking about the EAF? And as you recollect, this is 2456 Hilltop Road, and the applicant would like to subdivide an existing larger parcel into 2 parcels, and there were some concerns that the council had about the lot size and the sideline requirements. It looked like the applicant had put an addition on the house, the garage actually, when that parcel was one piece, and now he wants to subdivide it. We can, did anybody, we went through it and we basically generated a fair amount of questions. And I think that, Clark, did you put together the stats that we asked about?
Yes, we do have the stats. Did they get in the packet, Laura?
There are 2 plots
Yeah, okay.
in the packet. So I think one of the concerns that we had raised was that the lot size was small. Well, it was not conforming, and the other one was the sidelines and the frontage. So Clark, do you want to sort of describe what you did, and we can sort of look at the data and see if it raises any other questions?
Hey, Laura, do you mind even pulling up the one that's in the packet for the planning board? Because that has an extra chart in there that's interesting. So yeah, while she's pulling that up, the planning board, and I think at the last CAC meeting, we wanted to look at just the neighboring properties, because this subdivision is kind of right on the edge. Right now, it's a pretty large parcel, but when you subdivide it into 2 parcels, it's really, it has minimal amount of frontage. I think each of the two lots would have 100 feet of frontage, which is the requirement in an R1 district. But the square footage of each parcel is less than the 18,000 square feet that's required. So Laura, why don't you go back to the first page? So just to show everyone, the green rectangular space there is 2456 Hilltop. So that's the parcel that they would like to subdivide into two parcels. So as you can see, you know, it is a little bit larger than some of the other neighboring properties right along Hilltop. One thing we did learn also that it's right on the borderline of a transition between an R1 zoning district, which is Hilltop Road, and then if you go just below that in the picture, where you can see the little cul-de-sac, that is actually R2 zoning district. So they have some different requirements. So that's why you might see some properties that look a little bit smaller, because R2, the minimum lot size is 9,000 square feet, and it's much larger. I think 18,000, Laura, in an R1 district. So that's just kind of what we're looking at. Our exercise here was take a look at those neighboring properties with the addresses in red and see how they compared to a subdivided 2456. So if you go to the next page, Laura. So the first thing we looked at, the chart on the left, is the lot areas. And again, the requirement here is 18,000 square feet in an R1 district. The two little red diamonds are the two lots that would result if you subdivided 2456 Hilltop. They're shown in the applicant's site plan drawing as lot 4 and lot 5. So you can see they would actually be the two smallest lots on Hilltop. You know, they are under 18,000 square feet. They're just over 15,000 square feet. They would be the smallest on the lot, and the average is that little green dashed line. The average areas are 26,127 square feet. And so, you know, they would be considerably under the average and the majority of the homes on the street. On the right, we looked at lot frontage. And like we said, it's actually the bare minimum for lot frontage, 100 feet for each of the two lots. You can see there's 3 other homes on the street that are right at the 100 square feet. There are 2 that are slightly under, you know, one at 80 and one a little bit above 80. So if you go to the next slide, Laura. So then at the plant, this is just kind of showing a Google Earth view of the spots. And at the planning board meeting, one of the board members suggested it would be interesting to look at what's the ratio of the square footage of the home to the square footage of the lot, just to see what that would look like, particularly when it was subdivided. You can see in the large rectangular plot where 2456 is, you can see the existing home off to the left side of the property. It's a pretty good size home, and it has a large lot as it currently exists. So if you go to the next slide, Laura. So taking a look at, this is now the area of the house divided by the area of the lot. And the 2 diamonds again here are if the subdivision was approved, that you can see that they would be the largest percentage of the lot occupied by the home. So the home area, the average home area is on that street is 2,400 square feet, basically. The average lot is 26,000. I think the home on 2456 right now is 3,200 square feet or so. It's a pretty good size home. So that's why when that home is on the subdivided lot 4, it takes up quite a bit of that lot, much more so than any other home on the street. So you can see the average is 10.9%, and that would be over 20%. So the planning board hasn't seen that plot yet, but you know, it's tough. They have the minimal amount of frontage. They don't have enough square footage. They only have 15,000 square feet. And then if you look at this percentage of the home to the lot, you know, that's probably a pretty unfavorable chart for the planning board as well, I would say.
Yeah, I think the other concern that might be worth looking at, although I don't think you're going to find it's the smallest, is that's the side yard smallest dimension. Certainly, I think in R1 it's 20 on each side, and I believe that the proposed subdivision is about 7.5 or thereabouts.
Right.
That's pretty substantial. You're right on top of the neighboring yard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So from a visual standpoint, that might actually have a big implication.
Right.
Yeah, that shows it very clearly. You can see that 7.2 feet from lot 4 to the property line with lot 5 is very tight.
Clark, I had a question, please.
Sure.
In your analysis, you show that when lot 2456 is subdivided, two out of 17 on the street, on the right-hand side picture, 2 out of 17, 12% are actually smaller than the you know, the two pieces that would result when 2456 is chopped up. So isn't that saying that, like, there's already 3 houses, 3 properties on the street that have the same square footage, and 2 are actually smaller? Combining them comes to 30%, and assuming a variance is obtained for the you know, the 7.5 to 20 feet business that Chairman Stryer is talking about. You know, I'm just like looking at the data and seeing if it may be reasonable given the data.
I think from the planning board perspective, they're wrestling the most with, is it appropriate to approve something today that is non-conforming to the code? Like all those other data points and other properties are pre-existing non-conforming. They all significantly predate the implementation of zoning in 1971. So what they're really wrestling with is, okay, those properties are kind of stuck the way they are. Is it appropriate to today approve 2 lots that don't comply with the code?
Got it.
Just to
I
clarify,
didn't realize that there was.
the chart that you were asking about, where it's the most conforming, is the area that it doesn't need a variance, right? So it's 100 feet. That's the area that it doesn't need a variance. It's got 100 feet of frontage. That's what the zoning requires as a minimum. So there's 3 other houses that have 100 feet, and there's 2 that have a little bit less. But that's actually not where the lot is not conforming. The lot's not conforming in the area where it would be the 2 smallest areas and in the setback. So the one chart you're looking at where it's sort of falling in the 30th percentile is the one chart where it's actually not necessary to get a variance there.
The one thing that comes to mind is, you know, prior to 71, you know, there were a lot of changes that were made. I know, for example, the house I currently live in, part of our property was deeded to the neighbor so they could build a garage. So we're actually non-conforming on one of our side lots, and that occurred in 1939. So the concern I have is if you grant a variance for this property, are you setting a precedent? And then are we prepared to demarc decisions that were made prior to 71 and decisions that were made post 71? I think it gets very difficult to say that the effect on neighborhood and the area is different, whether the non-conforming lot was made non-conforming prior to 71 or after 71. In my mind, the effect is still the same.
Right.
The lots with the smallest frontage, could you go back to that, the plot that shows each house on the map? And are they larger in size with a smaller frontage?
Actually, the applicant and his engineer gave a pretty good explanation of how the lots, that a lot of those lots, I think, have the same frontage, but the way the road goes or the property lines, some of them pick up a little more area just because the lots are a little bit deeper.
Right, yeah.
And it's almost just happenstance from the arc of the road a little bit gives them a little bit more square footage.
Yeah, I see what you mean. The ones on the top of Hilltop Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I agree that this, it would be a bad precedent to set. And then it skews all of your comparables, you know.
Clark, and you did not include this large lot here in your analysis, the one that's not labeled.
I didn't.
Yeah, so you're not even including that very large lot at the end.
I guess I kind of just considered that an outlier, that it was so large compared to all the rest.
Mm-hmm.
So when the applicant says that there were old drawings or some such where the original intent was to have two lots, I'm assuming that is prior to this 1971 rule that we are talking about, right?
So if you look at the original subdivision plan, and you can see he's kind of got these labeled. Actually, you can see it in a couple places. Like this circle is lot 6, that circle is lot 7. This circle's lot 4, that circle's lot 5, and you can see the original lot line. And then I wonder if I can do this without messing it up. Most likely I can't. And then do you see over here, actually? Like this is also the original subdivision lines over here. Like lots 1 and 2 existed sort of perpendicular to the road, and 3 was over here. And then this lot, this 1988, page 8094, this lot, is a portion of these 2 original subdivided lots, and this. So so this one is a conglomeration of that, and then this one is a conglomeration of 4 and 5. And he's saying that all he wants to do is take it back to lots 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
So in Laura, in the picture that you are showing that lots 1, 2, 3, that's not really 3 lots, right? That's now like a single lot with a single house in it.
Yeah, sorry. I can actually bring up the old subdivision. I should have had this up my computer. Anyway, yes. Here's that's this lot here. And then this lot is a combination of those 2 lots, right? So that was 1, 2. And then the rear ends of 1 and 2 were over here. And then 3 was here. Then this was 4 and 5. And then these ones actually pretty much conform to the original subdivision 6, 7, 8, 9. The original subdivision is for here, I'll load it, from 1945, I think. There you go.
Wow.
So, this, let me just orient this. The orientation is different, of course, from what you're looking at on the map. But here, so you can see those. I wonder, this might get a little too small. So let's try. And then I close this out. And then I'll do, yeah. So, wait, hold on, sorry. Okay. So you can kind of see how these lines lay out on this, right? This is 1 and 2. This is what I'm saying. There's the 1 and 2. Here's the 3. Here's the 3. But if you actually look, this is the way the lots have always been here. So you've got 1, 2, 3. That's a combination of those. So this is a combination of lot 1 and 2. This is a combination of part of 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and this is a combination of 4 and 5. And then you can see that they get pretty conforming with the subdivision when you go beyond that. This 6, 7, 8, they seem to stay just about the same.
So Laura, one of the questions, there was a lot of discussion at the planning board about parcels versus lots.
Yeah.
But where we're showing lots 4 and 5 there, those really were two separate lots at one point, and then they were.
No, that's what I was saying. I think they have always been a single lot, just the same as these ones.
Okay.
Like this back, this 1, 2, 3. I think like when the lots were sold and developed.
Okay.
That's the way they were, and you can kind of see that with the original deed on the Schenectady County's website. It's very old. It's like book 500, which is so old you can't see anything past below book 600, because we're on like book 1700 or something. Yeah. And so if like older than 600, it's just not scanned. It's so old. Okay. And the original deed for this parcel is that old. So I think it's always been this lot.
Okay. So
even if it hasn't, like when we said before, like clearly the house developed with the benefit of it being a single parcel. And it is a single parcel now, but so I'd say that you can consider it's always been this parcel. Okay. The same as this one. You can look at the tax number. It's always been a single parcel.
Okay. So
when was the house built? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I looked that up at the last meeting. It's older than you think. I can look it up again. Do you guys know how to do this? This is like the greatest thing that the county puts online ever. Let's go here.
I think it's somewhere in the 30s, Dart.
It is.
What's the address? 2516?
Maybe 39. But I think that's important because there was a lot of confusing talk in previous meetings about multiple parcels. The fact that you could have 3 parcels could be 1 lot. Just because something had 3 parcels in it does not mean it was 3 lots at one point. Laura explained that really well. But now what I think is also coming out is this was never really existed as 2 separate lots. And there's a lot of talk about returning it back to the way it was when it was 2 lots, but it was never really on the books as 2 different lots.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Is that the date, 1940?
Yeah, it was built in 1948.
Okay. And then I think in another meeting somewhere, we also determined, or maybe the applicant mentioned, that he did expand that garage. I think that also happened prior to 1971.
Yeah, that might even be here. Sometimes it tells you that. Yeah, no, I don't see it. Oh, maybe it's here.
There is another form I think you can look at, but I'm not sure how to get to it.
Yeah, there is another place that you can find that, but
I've been there before. I've looked there before, but I can't tell you how to get there. It's been a long time.
Oh wait, maybe this is it. Yes, here it is. Garage. So 1951, 1948, 1948. They added porches and garages. Yeah, maybe there's more. But see, like, you can actually see this is, so you can see, like, the property's changed hands, but the very original property card here, this is so old, like book 565, and it's always been this tax parcel. It doesn't have two of them here. It's always been one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best system ever if you guys ever want to, like, anybody can go there too.
Really?
Schenectady has a lot of cool things. Like, you guys can all go on to Sims too, which we talked about at the last meeting. So I guess you guys could go through the questions and we could do it as a draft, and that way you could just like vote on it at the next meeting if you wanted.
What are
you wanna
people's
wait?
pleasures? Chelsea, you haven't seen this before. Do you have anything or any questions that you'd like to ask?
Honestly, I'm kind of just taking it in. I definitely think we shouldn't go against what the norm has been just to set that precedent. But I'd be down to wait until everyone's together at the next meeting to really put it together. I don't know how everyone else feels.
Yeah, that's
I
completely
think that's
fine.
a good suggestion, Laura, because I think if we go through it and then we have additional people at the meeting, it's a lot harder to change something that's written as opposed to doing it together as a team the first time.
Okay.
Particularly if we have new members.
Yeah, that's true. We might. Okay, that sounds good.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think we probably will, actually.
Okay.
I'll try and train them up a little, just so they know that I didn't even do that with the show. Sorry. I just threw it all into the fire.
I think this was a good discussion, though, and I'm glad we had it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Well, Clark's been doing a great job with data-driven analysis of things. It's amazingly awesome.
Very
really helpful, Clark.
Yeah, thanks. It's interesting because it's it's somewhat right on the edge.
Yeah.
And Clark, let me add my comments too. Big fan of data, numbers, and all. So I love those charts.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's a lot to ask to go back to a plot plan that never really existed.
Yeah.
Well, subdivision existed, but the deed and the way the house was cited and the land that was, associated with it was always
it existed, but it was never in practice.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay.
And unfortunately, it sounds like the buyer misunderstood what he was purchasing. But
yeah, it's too bad.
Okay, shall we move on to discussion items? Laura, you have some resumes here for our youth initiative.
Yeah.
Do we want to go through them?
Yeah. And I know you guys, or you did that. We got a couple of veterans now because you were also on Complete Streets and Kathy's also on Climate Smart Communities. But what we do is we go through and then I think just pick kind of like, if we can, nominate our top two. And then I can just check. You guys are actually the last committee. But I'll just check and make sure that our number one doesn't interfere with anybody else's number one. Okay. If it does, then I'll probably just go to our number two. And then I'll let all the kids know and make sure they're still interested, and then pull it all together for the Economic Development Committee meeting on Friday, and then have nominations with a student rep, hopefully for our March meeting.
I do have a question before we start. I noticed that several of the applicants were seniors. So if this is a year appointment, are we concerned that they may be off to college next fall?
So, they are allowed to be in college and still be a resident of Niskayuna and still be on our committee. But I guess, obviously, if we're meeting in person and they're at a college that isn't like Union, they, they're not going to be able to physically attend, and I'm not sure, like, how long we would be. I mean, I think we will always have hybrid meetings, but I think that, like, if they really move away, they'll probably just open up the seat, and then we'll just, have a rolling incoming youth initiative seat. But they did, for those of them that are a senior, and then they go to, they want to stay local and go to SEC or Union or Siena or wherever, they're welcome to stay, because they don't have to resign just because they go to college. It'll just be like where they go and what their time constraints are and loads and stuff like that.
Well, I think that's good to know that we would have a rolling nomination. So if somebody did roll off, say to go to college, that wouldn't leave the slot open for a whole year or the remainder of the year.
Right. Yeah. It would just be like, yeah, it would be rolling. So after, if we were lost our youth representative, I think we would just put out a thing again and say, hey, we just need one for the CAC. It wouldn't be all four of them. I don't think we'll ever do all four of them again. I think just as youth initiatives come and go, just like you guys, hopefully you all stay for a while, but just as members come and go, when we have a spot, then we just let people know.
Okay,
So
great.
some of them applied for more than one committee, correct?
Yeah, yes, they were allowed to mark multiple committees.
Right.
But the only ones that are before you are the ones that mark the CAC as potentially, as well as other committee. Someone on the phone tried to say something. You want to try again?
It's me, Ellen. I couldn't, I finished with my other meeting, so
Hi,
I tried to join your meeting, but no one would let me in, so I called.
It seems to be a problem. We all had that
Yeah,
problem.
it's been a bad. Do you want to? Are you happy on the phone, or like what worked for Dart is I sent you the full link and he copied and pasted it into his browser. Do you want me to try that with you?
No, that's okay. I'll just listen. That's fine.
Okay.
You don't need to go through all that. I just wanted to let you know I was here.
We'll mark you as attending in the minutes. Although actually now,
You don't have to. You can say latecomer.
I didn't hear any of that discussion, so I feel like we should just keep going. So did any of you guys have like a particular person that really stood out to you that you would want to nominate?
Well, for me, the best suited was Rihanna Sarkar.
Yeah, I agree.
She's from India, just like I am, and I was totally able to relate to her statement of polluted cities and devoid of green life and things like that. Also, it seemed to me that like she had taken the time to craft a statement that was well aligned with both our committee and the climate task force. So my first choice would be Rihanna Sarkar, followed by Robert Bentley, because I liked his work with Roots and Wisdom, which is a well-respected local organization with, the goals are at least partly aligned with what we do at the CAC.
I agree with both of those, and I think Robert is going to Schenectady Community College to the culinary program next year, so it's possible he could stay on.
I agree. I like both those candidates.
I did have to say, the Colin Sanderson one, I know we looked at him at the Climate Smart Communities Task Force, Kathy, because I think he selected both. And Daryl Bray was on that, and he did, contact me after that. He knows him pretty well because through the schools, and he said he's super hardworking and very passionate. Although, sometimes that's hard to tell from the applications, but he did just want to put in a plug for him.
Okay. He just wasn't very elaborate in his comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I concur with the choices that people have made today. you know, Robert being the second choice, and
Being the first.
yeah, I'm trying to increase my screen size so I can read her name.
Okay, so do you guys want to do that nomination then? Rihanna as number 1 and Robert as number 2?
Yep, we can do that. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So which committee gets to pick first?
Well, actually, Rihanna was the second one for CSC.
Oh, really?
I think so, wasn't she? I'm still gonna look.
Oh, did they go with the,
Maybe I would let her choose then in that case.
okay.
Hey, Shook, I did a double take. I looked at the screen, and all of a sudden your looks had changed dramatically.
We have another youth. We have another youth for our board. Yeah, I'll have to double
Okay,
check that
so
down.
are we set for that, or?
Yeah, that's completely fine. Like if
Okay.
she was number 1 for CSC, I'll just ask her which one she wants the most, and then
Okay.
it'll be the number 2 for the other board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on to the reports. The natural resource inventory. Hey, Shook, why don't you take the lead on this right now and tell us what you've been up to and where you see us.
Okay. I reached out to the people who could potentially fund us, and Laura and Dot, I've been copying you on all of these important correspondences. I write a lot of emails on this topic, so I'm like not overwhelming your mailbox, and I'm restricting the carbon copies to just the important ones. Kathy from the Mohawk River Watershed Program, she did write back, and I actually invited her to join us, not her personally, but one of their group. If you look at the request for applications, the PDF, it says there that frequent contact with the funding agency is recommended, and their input should be sought when developing the timeline. So now that we have a kind of a plan to meet monthly, the hope is that somebody from the funding agency will be able to join one of those meetings. Separately, like I said in our the separate NRI meeting, one of the important things we have to do is to let our elected officials know what we are up to. So I drafted a correspondence to the town board and Supervisor Saeed. I heard back from a couple of members about my draft text, and I'm hoping we can use a few minutes to for you all to give me comments, and I can make some edits, and then I can present it to the working group, which is still under development, in our February meeting. And then from maybe in early March, we can present a formal communication to the town board and Supervisor Said. I can share my screen and show the email text, or it's there in your email. I can read the text, whatever people want to do.
However you want to do it. I think it'd be good if you shared your text if you can.
Sure. Hold on.
So you just hit that present now button that's on the ribbon at the bottom of your computer. Just hit that present now.
Yeah, I'm using my iPad, and the buttons are slightly different. So
Oh, there you go. You got it.
So, so here is the email. So this is the text of the email to the town board, and I'll like shrink it here. I'll just read it. Dear members of the town board and Supervisor Syed, the Conservation Advisory Council is poised to start work on developing a natural resources inventory for Niskayuna. As the name indicates, a natural resource inventory catalogs the town's existing natural resources and discusses their conservation potential. Cultural resources are also included. NRIs lead to the development of open space plans, which include conservation priorities. They can also be incorporated into town level comprehensive plans. More information on NRIs can be found here. There is ample evidence suggesting that natural resources and wild spaces are vitally important for human health and well-being, and often the value of these spaces is not fully understood until they are permanently lost to development. And then I go on to quote from the 2013 Comprehensive Plan. These priorities are well aligned with our own 2013 Comprehensive Plan, which states that, begin quotes, the importance of recreation facilities and open space and the livability of a community cannot be understood. In fact, such livability factors were identified in a town-wide survey conducted by the Comprehensive Plan Committee as one reason why residents chose to live in Niskayuna, end quotes. The 2013 Comprehensive Plan goes on to state that the preservation of existing open space and parkland should also be viewed not only as desirable but as an economic asset contributing to the town's overall fiscal health. The town should identify remaining undeveloped land parcels and evaluate their value as parkland or open space. That last line, the town should identify remaining undeveloped land parcels and evaluate their value as parkland or open spaces. It's pretty closely aligned with what I'm proposing we do. In addition to the obvious benefits to the town's residents and to the natural world, developing an NRI is also good for the town at the administrative level. It's good to have a global and bird's eye view of conservation priorities instead of reacting at the site plan level for every proposed development. And as such, developing an NRI helps developers as well. In addition, the process of developing an NRI builds community cohesion and brings people together, a vital and unmet need in today's world. When I spoke to other municipalities that have developed open space plans and NRIs, this is something they emphasize. Like it's a good, they're like journey before destination. It's a good community building exercise. The CAC, as the guardian of the town's natural resources, is a logical agency to lead this project. Indeed, municipal level CACs are authorized by state law to develop NRIs. A fully functional NRI can take as long as 5 years to complete, and the initial intent is to formulate a working group under the guidance of the CIC. The group has started monthly meetings, and we have identified the Mohawk River watershed grants as a potential funding source. Our initial focus is on low-hanging fruit, evaluate existing data, examples from the 2013 Comprehensive Plan, as well as the state and county level resources, catalog small areas of wild spaces, pockets of parks and wild spaces to use language from the comp plan with an eye toward conservation, and gather enough preliminary data and perform enough preliminary work in 2021 to be in a strong position when the next round of grant applications opens in early 2022. This was actually stated by the people running the webinar. Like, you don't go to a funding agency and say, like, hey, give us a bunch of money. You tell them, we have already done all this work. Now we request funding to do this, and that. We sincerely hope that our elected officials will support this endeavor. And that's the text. And what comments do people have?
Ashok, I'm really glad you read it because I actually hadn't had a chance to read it from the emails yet. And
Okay.
I really like it. I think it's really good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I actually like it a lot too. I have a few comments, and I don't know the best thing to do. I have technology barriers in my house, so it's hard for me to work from an email because I don't have email on my main computer. But I don't know if you want to send a Word document to me, Ashok, and I can just do track changes and you can decide whether you like it or not. But
Okay,
the
I'm happy
nature
to
of
send you a Word document, Doc.
yeah, but I can go over the nature of what I am suggesting here. And again, I think the letter is very good. But what I might do is I might put in a little more to the town board as far as what this is going to help them. Like, for example, help set development priorities by protecting existing parkland, open space, and recreational opportunity for future generations. I think you're talking to the town board, and I think what you want to do is maybe expand the mission a little bit higher up for them to make it a little bit higher up.
Okay.
The other comment that I had was sort of the benefit when you talk about the bird's eye view instead of reacting on a site plan level. And I think you might want to be a little more explicit in there. And I was playing around with words, but I haven't come up with the right ones yet, but basically assist the town in evaluating the impact of future development. So decisions are made deliberately as opposed to we living with the consequences, but I haven't gotten the wording right on that. I thought that would help again, tie it to maybe the town board concern or the broader issue. And the only other comment I had was when you said the CTC is the guardian of the town natural resources, I'm hoping we can get other people from other committees. So you might want to say that, you know, the responsibility falls on us, but everybody has a stake in guarding the natural resources. It's not just the CAC. I would think it would be the tree council. I think it would be, you know, all the boards. I would be really inclusive on that. And then just really rephrase
so
that to the CTC's response is taking the responsibility.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, and if you send me the PDF, the Word, I'll look at it. I can look at it this weekend, and I can just put suggestions, and you know, you can decide if you like the wording or not. Again, I don't think it's a lot of changes. I'm just trying to broaden it a little bit. I don't know how do other people feel on the committee about that?
No, Dart, this is Clark. I kind of agree. I really like the way it is, and I like the comments that you've made. I like connecting it to the comprehensive plan, and I always like coming from the standpoint of kind of what's in it for me from the reader's point of view. In this case, the town board, and a lot of that to me always boils down to preserving and increasing home values and as well as the livability of Niskayuna. You know, everyone wants their property value to continue to go up too. So kind of connecting into that, I think, is helpful too.
Ashok, like this may be more of a climate smart communities task force like announcement, but I watched this energy communities grant unveiling last night, and natural resources inventory is still very much a part of everything that the CSDA does there too as well. And there's like opportunities for us to do these small things and get $5,000 increments that we could set aside for additional items that are important to the town that further the goals of the clean energy community, which include an NRI. So we might want to add that we've identified the Mohawk Watersheds Grant and potentially the Clean Energy Communities Grant, just to show that there's actually quite a lot of incentives and fundings out there right now for this kind of thing.
So it's called the Clean Energy Communities Grant?
Yeah, and it's called the Leadership Round. So we actually got this grant the last time it came out. We got $100,000, and there's $100,000 up again.
Okay.
But it's because it comes in like $5,000 increments.
Okay.
And so like we could do something like adopt a stretch energy code, and then they reward us $5,000, and then you could put that towards a greenhouse gas inventory or like a phase of the natural resource inventory development or something like that, because like you correctly identified, and like we learned from that webinar that you and I were listening to, this is a long process.
Mhm.
You know, if we can get consultants to take on a little bit of it for us here and there, you know, in $5,000 chunks or whatever, then we're furthering our goals as well. So it's
Okay.
really interesting. I'll share it. I can share it more with you guys offline. It's something that we're very good at doing. We've done before. We've gotten these awards.
Okay.
So it's very possible, and it's first come, first serve. So if we get our butts in gear, it's not even necessarily competitive, which is nice.
So, Laura, can I call you sometime to talk about that funding opportunity? I did not know it existed.
I did not either. It came out yesterday, so I'm really excited about it.
Okay. Okay. So if I Google Clean Energy Communities Grant, will it like pop right up? Is it a DEC program?
It's a NYSERDA program,
Okay, it's a
and
nice
probably
area.
will
Okay.
pop up, but you want to make sure that you're in like sort of like the phase 2 leadership round, because they did a
Okay.
phase 1 that lasted a long time, and this is phase 2 now. It's called the leadership round.
Okay. And you said it's first come, first served. So, we better hurry.
Yeah. It's nice. So we do, like, because the town board is so supportive of these things, we do typically turn these around pretty quickly. As far as towns go, the last round of grants was first come, first serve. And we were able to get the higher threshold of grant award. So like the first 5 towns or something got 100,000, and then the 15 got 50, and we got 100 because we moved. So
Okay. Well, that's great. So what is involved in the grant write-up, like the meat of the grant proposal? Like, do you know how many pages are involved? Like, what kind of preliminary data they're looking for?
So this is the nice thing about this too, is we are already a designated clean energy community. And so you don't have to write it. That's what I mean by it not being competitive. You get awarded for each action that you do. So we literally just have to undertake actions. And we submit them to the website. It's kind of like climate smart communities. And then we submit these actions to the website. And once you do them and you've met all the submittals, you're automatically awarded it.
Wow.
It's data. So it's not like a normal thing where you go through and you answer all your things about how you're going to do. No. Like, you just show that you did community outreach on a solar project, or you did community outreach on, like, one of the things they're really pushing is like geothermal, like clean heating and cooling. And I know that, like, because I'm the leader of the building department, for better or for worse, we get like we have been getting a lot more geothermal permits. So if Niskayuna is already moving that way, and we can, get our butts in gear and get that information out, it's like a low lift for us because people are already doing it. So we just kind of tie them into what we're trying to do as a town, and then we already have a certain number of people, and then we just tag more on. We did that with solar because Niskayuna is so solarized as far as community goes in this area. Like, drive around, there are a ton of solar panels on people's roofs in Niskayuna. And that was one of the things that we got for becoming the first clean energy community, because people were doing it already. So we just bound them together as a group, had them do this together, and then we were able to get points for things that people are already supportive in our community for. So.
Okay. I can look into it and try to contact you for an offline meeting to have something put together for a phase of the natural resources inventory, like you said.
Yeah, I am working from home tomorrow, so you're welcome to call my cell phone tomorrow if you want to.
Can I have the number?
Oh, I thought I gave it to you. Yeah, I will text it back to you from the email you sent.
Okay.
You
All
can
right.
call my cell phone, but I do try not to.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I've never approached the town board, so Dot's going to give me some feedback. We are going to and I have Clark and others feedback, and I can have a version 2 ready. But what I don't understand is the how of it. Like how do you like, how do you send it to the town board? Like, do you email them? Do you take the privilege of the floor in a town board meeting? Like, what's the mechanics of that?
We can do it in a variety of ways, and we can talk about it here at the next task force. But yeah, I mean, you can email them. You can, we can present it as a report to the town board. You actually don't have to do privilege of the floor because you're an appointed committee. So if you guys like wanted to do a report or have time, we could just schedule you on the agenda to do a report to the town board. They do those, and then and you know, if they are comfortable with that, it's their agenda, they set it, but they usually are. And then, you know, you can just do the presentation there, or you can do an email, and we have all their emails. You could do the first, you could do the, that's something that we could add maybe. You could do the first email when we're happy with it. We can send it all out. And then at the end of it, we could be like, you know, and we're happy to do a presentation, you know, to the public at a town board meeting, you know, whenever you're comfortable. That's kind
Okay.
of,
Hey,
And-
Laura, I'm thinking, would it be appropriate to run it by the economic
yeah, I'm putting it on the
development
agenda for
committee
Friday.
first
Yeah.
initially? Yeah.
Dot, I didn't understand. Like, what is this about the economy?
Oh, no, there's a committee with a really long name. It's the Economic Conservation Architectural. It just,
No,
It's-
Economic Development, Historic Preservation, and Environmental
Laura.
Conservation Committee. I did not make the name.
but
Wait,
anyway,
like-
it's a committee with a lot of the board's chairs, and there's representatives from the town board on it, including the supervisor. And it might be a good way just to give them a heads up of what is going on, and you get a lot of feedback that way.
Are you part of this this organization, Dot?
Yes, I am. But I
Can
think
you?
I think, Laura, how would you want to do it? I think Ashok should do it. Or how do you want to handle that? Or did you want to do it, or?
I love for people to present things at our committees. Ashok, if you are available on Friday morning, you are more than welcome to come, and I can put you on the agenda. But if that's not enough notice for you, we can just notify them of the program, and you know, we can put you on the next agenda too.
What time on Friday, Laura?
It's 8:30 in the morning.
Friday, 8:30 in the morning. Yeah, I can do it.
You want to? Okay, so I'll send you the invite.
Okay, so but it's not 8:30 sharp, right? Like 8:30 is when the meeting starts, and then my turn will be at 9 o'clock or something like that.
We typically put presentations at the beginning, but if you wanted to go towards the end, we can put you towards the end.
No, 8:30 is actually better.
Yeah, we would typically put you right at the beginning because you're like honorary person.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing, Ashok, is that the agenda is usually very long and it's pretty fast paced. So I don't know if you're going to be able to get through the whole thing, but you might want to think of like a high level synopsis of what we want to do.
Sure, like no more than 3 slides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just wanted to give you a heads up because there's a lot of topics and it goes pretty quick and it's time bound typically.
It is.
I know, Laura, I'm not overstepping the meeting.
No, I can talk to you about that tomorrow when I give you a call. But it's a good idea. So they're very aware of it before they even get an email. It's a good idea. Okay. Do we have anything else on
Okay,
that?
did you want to go over the town residents letter at all, or are you fairly comfortable with that?
Who were you asking that to?
Ashok?
Hold on, my children are causing a lot of noise. I'm going to close the door. I'll be right back.
I think it's good. I think we can combine, you know, like we'll have him send the Word document for both. But I thought,
Yep.
right, they were similar and good.
Okay, come.
So I'm still trying to gauge what exactly they can help us do, but Alex Likens, who's the head of the Schenectady Environmental Advisory Council, continues to remind me to always ask for help if we need it. Is this an instance where they can be called upon, or because I feel like it's more of a town level than a county level?
He's in the SKIAC.
Yes. Yep. He kind of runs it, and he took over for Joe Berman,
Mhm.
who is now some senior position at NYSERDA, which is amazing. But
So maybe, because when Ashok and I were doing that presentation, they did say that the county does often collect county level data that's good to try and incorporate into NRI. So like,
Yeah.
if you have time, you could certainly ping him, copy Ashok and me on the email and Dart, and say, hey, Niskayuna is ramping up this kind of NRI task force. Have you guys looked into this at all? Do you have like maps or data that you can share with us to help us on our way so that we're not like reinventing the wheel? And just
Yes.
see, if they have stuff that they would want to contribute just as an analysis to what we have when we're figuring out our base kind of ideas for the NRA.
Perfect. Yeah, because I really do think they've done this type of inventory before, and they have data we could use.
We talked about it,
So
like be a little bit higher scale, but
yeah.
that's a good place for us to start, and then we scale from that, then down into the town of Niskayuna.
Yay. Okay, cool. I will definitely bring that up.
Yeah, Chelsea, like I would love to connect with somebody from the county and get their expertise. It's actually, it would be really useful if you can put me in touch with this person.
Okay, sounds good. I'll get it together. We just met last week, and we meet once a month, so we'll probably have our next one in like early March, but I'll get it all worked out. That sounds good.
And when you say we meet, like what's the we? Like what group
Oh.
is this?
Yeah, so I am our liaison for the Schenectady County Environmental Advisory Committee. Am I saying that correctly? SKIAC. And we meet once a month, similar to how we meet, and we go over kind of a Schenectady County level of environmental issues. And it can be a little bit intense, and there's a lot going on sometimes, but Alex is really, really good, and I think he's a professor at Union College still. And he just has a lot of good information and good connections. So I'd love to get us all connected.
Okay, great. Okay, we need to go to bed.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
Ashok, did you want to go over the letter to the residents? You went over the letter to the town.
As long as we are doing it, I can share my screen and read that letter.
Yeah, why don't we do that since you sent it out so we can.
Okay. Okay, here it is. Dear Niskayuna resident, the town of Niskayuna, under the leadership of the Conservation Advisory Committee, is poised to start work on developing a natural resources inventory. As the name indicates, a natural resources inventory catalogs the town's existing natural resources and discusses their conservation potential. Cultural resources are also included. NRIs lead to the development of open space plans, which include conservation priorities. More information on NRIs can be found on this site. It actually goes to the Hudson River Estuary Program. They do have lots of good information. There is ample evidence suggesting that natural resources and wild spaces are vitally important for human health and well-being, and often the value of these spaces is not fully understood until they are permanently lost to development. Indeed, as mentioned in our 2013 comprehensive plan, the importance of recreation facilities and open space and the livability of a community cannot be understated. If you have a strong interest in conservation and a passion for preserving the town's natural resources, please consider joining our group. And please get in touch with us if you know of other Niskayuna residents who would be good candidates. Developing an NRI can take between 2 to 5 years. You do not have to participate for the whole time period and can contribute to the extent you are able to. Contact information is at the end of this email. Separately, we are collecting photographs that showcase Niskayuna's natural and cultural assets. If you have photographs taken in Niskayuna of animals, plants, or cultural or historic landmarks, please send them to the email addresses noted below. This last point I put in there, but I don't know anything about the website. A selection of photos will be published in the town website, and if that's not possible, we can delete that line.
No,
And
we
then
can do that.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Okay, great. Questions can be addressed to CSE Chair, Laura Robertson, or me.
I think it's a
So
good
it'll
letter.
be great to have a town website where we put the pictures that Roy Thornton likes to take, and I know a number of people who are like bird enthusiasts in Niskayuna, and they take a lot of photographs. It'll be nice to have like a town natural resources and cultural resources web page or something like that.
I think that's great. That's how we met you, isn't it? Because we were talking,
Yeah.
you were interested in the pictures. I still think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's a great letter.
So I'd like to get feedback from the working group or what we have for the working group right now, and then Laura, maybe you can send the email blast, maybe in the beginning of March.
Yeah, I think yes, absolutely.
And Laura, like I need a couple of email addresses from the people who
I got the email from you.
Who attended the last Wednesday's meeting.
Yeah, I'll put the email. I'll just put a whole email list together for you of everybody that was there.
Sure, thank you. Well, let me just quickly take this opportunity to thank everybody, and for whatever it's worth, apologize for creating additional work.
No, I think it's great. And in fact, I was so inspired by our last meeting that we had. I actually got the Sims up and I started formulating a table of properties that we may want to look at. It's a broad net. And basically, I didn't get very far because once you get down the rabbit hole, you can start like really looking at a lot of things. So the table has, the property, the location, the tax map, how big it is, and then why I selected that particular parcel. And what was surprising to me is not all the parcels were very big. Some of them were, the smallest one was 1.37 acres. But when you look at the Sims map, it makes sense. So what I will do is I'll send this out and you can take a look at it. It's just like a template. It's going to involve a lot of work though, but I figured it's better if it's useful for the committee to use. I think it's useful to cast a wide net and then whittle it down after the fact. So I'll get that out to you on the end of probably on Monday, Aisha, and I can put everybody else on it as well. I just don't have access to it on my iPad right now. So. Okay. Pesticide Outreach.
So, Ellen, Ellen and I, you can tag
Ellen,
on here. We talked just before the meeting. Greg has ordered just one print of our sign, right? And then we're just gonna okay that, and then he's gonna send everything to us.
Yeah, that was what that was what his last email said. He had sent one out. He just hasn't, he thought he was going to get it back this week, but he hasn't gotten it back. So hopefully this week. So I'll hear from him. So I'll reach out to him again tomorrow because I didn't want him to print all of them until we saw one.
Yeah, but all is well. That got encumbered in 2020. We got it all invoiced and ready to go. So that's just a matter of getting them printed.
Okay, that's great. Were you planning on just checking it yourself, Ellen or Laura, or were you planning on getting other people to look at it? I don't have a feeling one way or the other. I just was wondering.
I always leave it in hands.
Okay. I'm fine.
I'll show it to anyone who wants to see it. So if you're interested in seeing it before it goes to print, you just let me know, and I will drive by your house with it and show it to you.
So, because Greg likes this material better. Like, he did print us out too before, and we like those. And he says that this is even better. So,
yeah, I'm
Okay.
hopeful.
Good. LOMO Biodiversity Initiative update. Do we have anything, Laura?
don't have too much on that. I think where we left it is we were just going to explore if we can get plants. I've been doing a little research here and there. I didn't know, Kathy, if you had anything that you found out. We still have some time. It's mostly right now, I think, just trying to get some color for the front along that fence.
Right. Yeah. The master gardeners still have quite a few. Well, in the fall, we had quite a few plants in back of the greenhouses. We just have to see if they survive the winter. And I had some assorted wildflower seeds that I winter sowed. So if they germinate, and we can always use those, because I'm gonna they're in big flats now outside covered in snow, but I will transfer them to 4-inch pots, peat pots, that we can just put right in the soil. And so I'm hoping that we get a good germination rate on those and we can use those. And they're all perennials.
I might have some. I winter seeded a couple wildflower packets too, and if they come up very dense, I can probably thin them as well.
Okay, good. Good.
Sounds great.
Can I just ask if you're what particular flowers you're looking for, or just so my mother's an avid gardener and she's always thinning her crop, her garden.
I think native perennials would be the best. They're very low on maintenance, and they're designed to grow in our area, and they're designed to attract our local pollinators.
Yeah, I agree. So even though like we love daylilies, like I think that that's not really like what we're going for here. Like I think we'd like to see like, you know, black-eyed Susans and sunflowers and all those super cool things that Kathy brought over in front of our solar panels, which I now have in my yard.
Yeah. Do you know what your mom has?
No, I don't. I will ask her. I mean, I know she has, you know, black-eyed Susans, and I know she has, you know, I know she has those, but they're always pollinating and doing stuff. So she has a big flower garden. So I just thought I would ask.
Would be great if she's dividing those in the spring. We'd love to have those.
Milkweed,
I'll ask her.
like milkweeds, Joe Pye weeds.
Mm-hmm.
I have a source that said they have lots of milkweed plants. And also, Laura, last time you said like we need these plot plants. Like do the highway people have a feel for like you know, how much we would need, and if you buy them on the market, like how much it would cost?
Well, for perennials,
Depends on the size.
yeah, I think that probably under the current budget climate, the sad story of it is that we wouldn't be able to buy perennials for this effort. I think we'd probably just collect them from places like, and it might take a little while. Like if Kathy has some from the Masters Gardeners, and we can grow some little babies, and Ellen's mom can give us some black-eyed Susans. That's probably what we would put all along the fence. And then as time goes on, we can start marching forward with like, you know, for perennials. But I think it's very grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean I understand that budget is tight, but maybe we can like get the word out so that we'll have more people contributing these things. There's like 7 of us in this meeting. Perhaps another email blast or something as simple as a Facebook post. Just to get the word out that we are looking for these native perennials. And like if I I'm a big fan of the meadow, but I admit that my skill with gardening and knowledge of that is limited. So we don't want seeds. We want these plug things, right? Okay.
You also have to be careful when asking for donations because gardeners tend to give you the ones that are more invasive because they're overtaking their gardens. So we're going to have to be a little discriminating with what we accept, I think.
Oh, absolutely. We shouldn't plant invasive species. That's like really bad. Doug Tallamy talks about that in his book.
But I also
Laura,
think that we should.
The meadow will still go on, right? Like even if we are not able to make it like super pretty and awesomeness, by the time the spring comes, you showed us a map with a path and all that, and that is still going to happen in the April-May timeframe, correct?
Yep, that's my understanding that we agreed on the area. We talked about it at Highway Committee, and the town board was on board. We did shrink it a little because there were some frisbee golf holes that we didn't know were there until we went out and looked at it and stuff. But and then I think based on the meeting that we had with the residents, we also sort of pulled it in from that one guy's house, and then everybody was okay with it as long as we continued to mow in front of the split rail fence and continued to mow a path. And then what we had said is that I think a lot of people's idea of it would be that it has flowers and they didn't want it to look like super, super unkempt. So if at least the entrance from Riverdale, Catherine's Wood has some pop, I think the rest of it can kind of be what it'll be, and we can work on it over time.
Okay, thanks.
Really quick, I was just thinking about how there is a Facebook group for the frisbee golfers in the Capital District. Would it behoove us to just post on that once we have, some information? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to interfere with them at all. Should we give them a heads up? I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, we could be like, hey, we're going to do a low mow initiative over by hole number 7. So the grass will be a little longer around there. If you have any beautiful perennials, email us what you have and we'll let you know if you can give them to us. No.
Okay, I like it. Good idea.
Yeah, I think it would be really nice if we were, if we do say something someplace that we're specific about what native perennials are and we're specific about what we want. Because when you say native perennials to me, that means I have to go and look up what native perennials are because I don't know what they are.
There's lots of resources. Even the DEC has a list of native perennials. You just plug in your location and they'll come up with a list. But I can send you some information.
Well, I was just thinking that if we were going to try to, so that wasn't I was just going to ask, so what does the volunteers for the Niskayuna library, are those perennials? Are those native perennials over there, or are they not native perennials? And are they an exclusive group of just Niskayuna, or do they branch out? Not to weed other people's gardens, but
Yeah, I think I've seen like black-eyed Susans in that garden and some natives, but I think they're going for a more decorative look there, more of a formal garden.
Yeah, but I think I don't know that phlox is sometimes hard to tell if it's the native one or not, but
yeah, right.
They do have like interestingly mayapple over there. Have you seen that, Kathy? They have quite a large thingy of mayapple. But I've reached out to them before. They are lovely human beings, but they generally speaking seem to want to stay over at the library. I don't think there's a whole lot of them, and I think the library gardens do keep them really busy.
Mhm.
But we could ask them again. Because sometimes
I
things
just
are
thought maybe if they had like, not to, for them to help us, but just to, if they had like, because they're gardeners too. So, maybe, yeah.
So
Yeah, I
we
think that's
actually
a good idea.
it is a good idea. And like town hall has a fair number of little baby butterfly weeds.
Mhm.
Which I won't kill because I love them, but we could transplant those too.
Yeah, I'm germinating some milkweed too. Hopefully they'll germinate well.
Sounds
And
good.
my only last thought was if there was a gardeners club at the Niskayuna High School, but I don't know if there's actually anything going on at the high school with COVID. So that was my only other thought.
Right. Right.
When I was a student at Niskayuna High School, there was a horticulture club, and we did a lot of planting, especially in the front of Niskayuna Library, and we sold plants at Niskayuna. I'd be curious. Maybe I should reach out to my old teacher. See if it's still there.
Oh my gosh, so I just had an idea. You know how the Celts farm is gonna get developed and he's displacing a lot of those lupins?
The lupin. Yeah.
Bet
Yeah.
you could even just take swaths of those topsoils. We could see if we could get him to bring it. It's not that far across the
Right.
street and down a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great. They have a very deep taproot, so you have to dig down really far. But if you do it in big clumps, that might work.
Yeah, like if you took scoops, like with an excavator, and just
With like
put
a
it on the back.
backhoe, we could just pick them up. And...
Yeah.
Might be able to get him to do that. You could ask. That'd be nice. And then you'd have some really established plants right at the front. Which would be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
He did offer those. I just don't. He did
Yeah.
offer those before.
You did. Yeah.
I mean, we're
is he-
gonna probably spring. We're gonna build a pollinator pathway along that bike path, but there's definitely some that are gonna get disturbed, even if we move some of them over to like the Windsor Drive stub and stuff. There's just so many of them over there. I bet you we could get a scoop or two, for this. I bet you too.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great.
My goal is to not lose a single lupin plant from that development. No, I'm
Oh
just
boy.
Wow, that's an ambitious
I'm
goal.
kidding. That would be a perfect world.
Well, if you tell me, when and where or whatever, I mean, I'll come. I'm no gardener, but I would come and help dig or whatever.
I'm sure you can dig. Yeah, we can organize a work day.
I will totally volunteer for that.
Okay, are we adjourned, or do we want to continue some more?
Laura, can you please give a quick update on the new candidates, the new potential members?
Yeah, I've gotten at least 2 for CIC. And I know that I got a couple more emails today. Today was the day that I had put in the email to try and get to me. But if you guys know somebody, I'm not that worried because I think I've gotten 2 and we have 4 spots open. So I'm not worried about the 3rd. If you know somebody, continue to send them to me. Just even if they don't have their resume ready, just have them send me an email that just says that they're interested, and then I can follow up with them. It's always open and it's always rolling. So even if they don't get anything to me by the 3rd, I mean, I put the 3rd in case we got like 20 resumes of people, but we've gotten 2. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
I'll
I'll
second.
second that. Okay. Chelsea, you can second it.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome,
everybody.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
So Laura.